Hi everybody, and welcome to this great video on Bitcoin price history. Now a lot of people ask about this, and so we've got here the Bitcoin price with a monthly view going all the way back to 2013. Now Bitcoin started in 2009, and so we're going to look at the whole history as the price goes right up to the current time. Let's have a quick check out of this now. So in 2013, near the beginning of the chart, we basically that's where we're going to start. But before that, after being unveiled in 2009, BTC's price remained relatively flat, peaking at about $30 in 2011. So that was quite famous at the time. A lot of people sold big amounts of Bitcoin at that time and thought they did a good deal as well. So obviously, compared to now, not such the case. So what we hit by the time we get to the chart here at March 2013, we can see that we're about there now. So around the start time here at the beginning of the chart, we had an accidental fork occurred in Bitcoin blockchain due to the introduction of flawed software update, and the correct version of the public ledger became unclear for almost 6 hours. Unbelievable. FinCEN also said that Bitcoin will be treated in the same way as money for the purposes of AMI laws. So that was pretty impressive coming out from there. And obviously Mt. Gox, which was a famous exchange, went down for a day in April 13. So you can see that's our first green candle there, folks. That is April 13, and that's when Mt. Gox went down for a day. Then we came all over to here. We come all over to October 13. You can see the price starting to rise now. We were getting up to $215. And you can see at that time, the US law enforcement officials shut down the famous Silk Road. That was a pretty major thing, and that still have ramifications today with that Bitcoin being held by some liquidators. So pretty impressive there. Then obviously we started having our getting up to the point where we were getting up to 14, 15. We're starting at our first sort of a parabolic move. You can see it there, it's only subtle, but you can see that in the play there. And that was a 20 December 13, media attention had pushed BTC to an all-time high, and you can see that BTC was getting right up there to 1,200 US dollars. You can see that in these two candles by December 13 and January 14. So pretty amazing stuff. That's a huge jump from $30 2011. And then obviously we had a big jigsaw there. By January 14, this candle here, this one here, we had the Zing and Overstock.com began pretty much accepting Bitcoin, which is really great for Bitcoin. And then obviously by February 14, which is this date here, where Bitcoin was as high as 829, so it'd come down off its highs, first high. There were attacks on exchanges leading to a halt in some withdrawals of the Mt. Gox exchange. Withdrawals and Mt. Gox exchange collapsed as well. Pretty a bad time in crypto at the time. You can see the price starting to fall there. Okay, so by the time we get to April 2014, which is this month here, we had a high of 547, so well off the 1200, and you can see that, or 1150 as it were, but you can see that reports indicate that the PBOC planned to shut down the bank accounts of Chinese BTC exchanges. That was huge. Then we had quite a bit of a gap there until we got to January 15. So let's have a look at that on the map there. January 15, we've got up to here. So we obviously got another price pump there. Well, price didn't pump, it was still down at 322, really off the highs. We saw the highs back in the previous bull run there, which was back here when we were around about 1175. So that was back in December 13. So by the time we got to this mark, January 15, we were down at 322 on the Bitcoin price. Now, what happened there? The Coinbase launched in January 15 its own US licensed BTC exchange, GDAX. So that was huge. Coinbase launched that as obviously one of the top exchanges. And then by June 2015, and so June 2015, the New York State Department of Financial Services unveiled the first set of state-level regulations targeting cryptocurrencies. That was June 2015. We start getting those regulations in. So we can see that's around here. June 15, the regulations start playing in. Price is 269 at that stage, and obviously when Coinbase launched at January 15, here the price was 322, and didn't have a big impact, if you can see there as well. So then we got pretty much 2017, sorry, September 15, and where were we up to here? September 15 here, so we kept moving along. Bitcoin was at 250, still muddling along, and the US Commodities Future Exchange Commission, the CFTC, defined a BTC as a commodity, which falls under its regulatory preview. So that was a big change from the regulatory. So definitely starting to pick up a Bitcoin on that one. Then by October, the EU, the European Union, decided not to impose a value-added tax, a VAT, on the crypto transactions, effectively regulating BTC and other cryptocurrencies in the same way as fiat currencies. So that happened in October 15, and we can see that on the chart. Let's quickly, we've got, so we can see that we're in the chart there, and Bitcoin's still muddling along, but had increased to about $475. Then we got pretty much to February 16, so that was October over 15. Then we got to February 16, so about here Bitcoin was at 451, and obviously October 15 it was at 336 US dollars, and we had in February 16, influential members of the BTC community met in Hong Kong. Some of you may have seen that, to discuss a possible change in BTC's transaction format that would effectively increase the size of BT blocks. And this was a big deal back then, particularly still is now. The aim is to speed up transaction processing times. That was February 16, and by that time, obviously the price was at 451 US dollars. Then we moved along pretty much to July 16, and the reward for BTC miners halves for the second time, falling from 25 BTC to 12.5 BTC. Now, I remember that was pretty amazing time there. So that was in July 16. Let's have a check out of that. So July here, the price of BTC was 789, so definitely increasing there as we start beginning the parabolic rise, the second one there. So pretty amazing. And then by the time we get to August 16, Bitfinex, the largest BTC exchange by volume, is hacked, and that was a major fallout from Bitfinex, and is hacked. Criminals captured 72 million US dollars worth of BTC at that time. So that was pretty major, and that was in August 16. So you can see here, and the price of Bitcoin was 627. It managed to stay relatively high and keep going despite that fact. Then we got to March 2017. So by the time we get to March 2017, prices are 1,338, and what do we get happen? The SEC, the US Securities Agency, rejects two separate BTC ETF applications. This is when all the high drama comes in. People wanting a BTC ETF to really pump the Bitcoin price. By the time we get to April 2017, and so here we are, by the time we get to February, so we're at $1,200 US, so really climbing. By the time we get to April, we're up at $1,449 US dollars, and what was happening there? It was pretty impressive. So let's quickly check that. So really starting to rise in price, and that second big parabola really, or third you might want to say, argue. And we were at in April, Japanese recognized BTC as legal tender while bringing the cryptocurrency under AML, KYC rules and regulations. So that's basically KYC, know your customer, basically getting your security details your personal details for transactions. So that was huge. Then by August, a hard fork occurs in Bitcoin Cash. So let's quickly look at that. This was a major event, and that was August 17, major event there. And the hard fork occurs in Bitcoin Cash, splits off from BTC and BCH, and promises speedier processing times as the blockchains contain a 8 times the data capacity of BTC blocks. So blocks obviously have the amount of transactions, the bigger the data size, the more you can have. And by this time, the price was Bitcoin was at 4,749 peak for that August month, and it was still climbing. So pretty amazing there. Then in September 2017, the Chinese government bans ICOs, its initial coin offerings, and subsequently closes the nation's BTC exchanges. That was high drama. So you had forks to BCH, you had high drama with the Chinese government getting involved with ICOs because there was an ICO boom on in that year. That's one of the big drivers as well as Bitcoin moving up. Then by November 17, the future Fed Chair Jerome Powell said BTC is not big enough to pose a threat to the US economy. So that was in November 17. And so we're getting up here, still climbing. And November 17, we're up at 11,441, impressive stuff. And we still had another month to go before it really peaked out for that big boom. So very nice stuff there. Then by the time we got to December 17, the peak month, BTC futures contracts begins trading on the CBOE and the CME exchanges, so the Chicago Board of Exchange and Commodities Markets, and that's funnily enough when Bitcoin peaked. So there's lots of talk about that being the cause, and so we were up at $19,891 based on CoinGecko's data. So that was huge on Bitfinex exchange, and that's where we peaked out. And that's after that's listing, the market started pulling back. So interesting timing there. Then in January 2018, Chinese officials are ordering mining operations to close. Hackers steal more than 500 millions of XEM, another crypto from the Japanese exchange, a coin check. So there's high drama there, and you can see the price starts to fall as well. And then by May 2018, the US Department of Justice opens criminal probe into cryptocurrency price manipulation. US and Canadian regulators announced Operation Crypto Sweep to police crypto investment schemes because the market went up to $20,000 and then it started to fall. So that's what you're getting here. So by the time we got to May, 18, the price had fallen almost by half to $9,990. So there's hugely drama there. Then by the time we end up going to July, the SEC rejects application for the Bitcoin ETF, and that was obviously another one based on March 2017. So July 18, they reject applications for BTF again. October 2018. So by that time, July 18, the price was sitting at 8,506, so well off the highs. It was moving into a bear market strongly. And then that's the way it was going. So then October 2018, Fidelity announced an initiative to handle trading and custody of crypto assets for institutional investors. And this was huge, opening up the world's liquidity, really the big money coming in. This was the beginning with Fidelity in October 2018. And the bull market was still going to run, though. It takes time for that to pick up with institutional investors. Then, so by the time that price in October, the 18, the price was at 7,788, so still falling, as we can see there. And in the chart, you can actually see the bottom of the bear market there, falling until we got to 3,422 was the low of that bear market. So that's how it works, folks. And it was if you picked it up, Bitcoin up then, you were doing very well. Then by the time we got to July 19, President Trump tweets that BTC and other cryptocurrencies are based on thin air. And then by July 2019, US Congress holds hearings on cryptocurrency regulations. So they're once again coming back after that bear market probably burnt a lot of people. Also, it was crypto sidetracks from fiat currencies as well. So September 2019, the New York launches of BTC futures. So that was a big deal. So the markets were continuing on despite what the government regulators were trying to do in September 19. And so that was quite a decent boost. So September 19, you can see we were starting to already move up there with a first false start, but this by 17-19, we're back at 10,933. We had obviously peaked up earlier in June 19 at 13,764. We were going to come back before we start moving into the current bull market. So very cool indeed. And then by the time we got to the November 2019, People's Bank of China launched a crackdown on cryptocurrencies. So it hit again, but Bitcoin keeps surviving. So let's have a look at that on the chart there. It was November 19, and let's have a quick look. November 19 there. So the price got hit a bit, and the low was 6,618, high was 9,600, and 645. So certainly hurting momentum there, and the market kept going down for a month or two. So there we are. After that, that's the Chinese bank. Then by the time we got to May 20, the reward for BTC miners halves again for the third time, falling from 12.5 BTC to 6.25 BTC. And investor Paul Tudor Jones announces BTC holdings, which was another big thing. So we had institutional investors, some big holders as well. So that was May 2020, and you can see that by May 2020, the market was really starting towards this bull market that we're in, or was in. May 2020, and we got up to 10,000 US dollars, so very cool. Then, of course, January 2020, the CME begins, the Commodities Exchange begins to trade options on BTC futures contracts. It's a pretty big deal, and that started helping the market get some speculation going in this again. Then by May 2020, reward, we already covered that part, but July 2020, US Office of the Controller of the Currency, OCC, allows nationally chartered banks to custody cryptocurrencies. That's huge, opening it up there with the custody, giving some security safeguards there to investors. And then by August 2020, MicroStrategy announces adoption of BTC as primary treasury reserve asset. And that's been a huge story with the MicroStrategy picking up billions of dollars of Bitcoin too. So that was in August 2020. You can see the price by that time was really starting to step up. We were at 12,490 US dollars. Then we got to October 2020. PayPal announced that it would accept BTC. Square announced a 50 million BTC investment and acceptance as a payment. So it was pretty huge. And obviously, just before that, in February 2020, Treasury Secretary Yellen warns of illicit financing via cryptocurrency. So there was still government getting involved there as well. That was October 2020. So we can see the price at that time was really, that's when it was really starting to take off here, October 2020, and we were up to $14,055. Very cool indeed. So PayPal really boosting that as well. And then obviously February 21, we had Tesla announce 1.5 billion BTC position and acceptance as payments, and BNY Mellon announces it will custody BTC. So a big wealth getting in there, big manufacturing getting in there, and big investments being made. February 21, in New York AG, 18.5 million Tether settlement was done, so that was tidying up a few loose ends there. So that was all happening in February 21, and that's not too long ago. And we can see that February 21, Bitcoin had reached 58,321, yet to reach its high, of course, and was continuing on into March. And then by the time we get to April, of course, BTC corrects, driven by liquidations, China mining outage, and regulatory concerns. So that's when we first get our jolt. And some people, of course, say that there was a wick-off pattern, which it does seem to fit very closely to by the time we get to April. But we peaked out at 64,829. And obviously we had started to move back in the following month in May, which was a big deal. And so then Tesla in May, Tesla announced that it will no longer accept Bitcoin. China widens crypto regs, and so that was very controversial since Bitcoin Tesla would have known about the high electricity use well before they were buying it. And obviously they announced in February that they had purchased 1.5 billion. So very controversial announcement there by Tesla, and so obviously some people decrying manipulation as well. And obviously Elon Musk doing lots of tweets, so that affected things as well. So that was in May, and obviously the high in May was 59,589. The low was 29,563, which brings us back to the current period. We're bounced back up a bit at 36,636, and people are really wondering where Bitcoin's going from here. Some have a bullish scenario that we're only about halfway through the bull market. So we'll see whether that happens. Others have that we'll get a bounce to maybe 55. Obviously got to pass 42 as a key resistance. Go to 55 and then have another sharp pull back down as big accounts investors try to accumulate. But of course there are a lot more, as we saw in this history, we've got a lot more institutional investors, a lot of the richest people in the world now in the game, and Bitcoin's held by not too many people as well. So I think there's a pretty interesting profile going up. ahead of us. So we'll wait and see. Hope you guys enjoyed this overview of the Bitcoin history, Bitcoin price history, and please subscribe, like, share, hit the bell for notifications, and hope to catch you maybe in a year's time and see exactly where this price goes. All right, I'll catch you next one. Cheers.